Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. The top stories this hour. Mixed reactions continue to trail Buhari's legacy as ex-president laid to rest in Daura. LPG operators resist Dangote's price-slash strategy, warn of market domination. 200 buried after RSF attack in North Kordofan village. Details of these stories and more coming up shortly. And that means it's time for Prime Minister's Questions, the weekly political face-off in the UK House of Commons. Now today, Prime Minister Keir Starmer goes head-to-head with the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, as they take on the week's most pressing issues. Now, top of the agenda, the data breach affecting thousands of Afghans who supported British forces and the surprise jump in inflation that's raising concern for households and businesses alike. It's shaping up to be a high-stakes session with tough questions, heated exchanges and plenty of political drama. Now let's take you to Westminster for all the latest.
The Chair of the Defence Committee has indicated that he intends to hold further inquiries. I welcome that and hope that those who were in office at the time will welcome that scrutiny. Mr. Speaker, President Macron's state visit last week saw us secure historic agreements, coordinating our nuclear deterrence, a major investment in Sizewell C, and a landmark returns deal, a crucial next step in restoring order to our immigration system. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, I will host Chancellor Merz for further talks on our security and the economy. This morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Families in Burton and Uttoxeter are watching their smart meters like hawks and dreading that moment when their energy bill lands on the doorstep. So I welcome Labour's Warm Homes discount that is going to mean £150 off energy bills for millions of people across this country, providing meaningful support in these difficult times. Can the Prime Minister set out how this is going to help support families in my constituency and around the country?
Prime Minister. Well, I thank him for his question. I, of course, met his constituent, Nicola, in her kitchen, and she told me about how hard she's working to support her 3 children, but the past decade has let her down with false promises and public services array. Mr. Speaker, she told me about the difference the Warm Homes discount will make, £150 off energy bills, and she had a meter, if I recall, in her kitchen recording how much energy she was using. And it would make all the difference to her, is what she told me. And I promise Nicola, my honourable friend, there's much more to come.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the head of the OBR warned the government that higher and higher levels of taxes are bad for growth. Does the Prime Minister agree?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell you what's bad for growth. 14 years of a Tory government. That's what the stagnant growth for 14 years, leaving a £22 billion black hole. What we've achieved, Mr. Speaker, in the first quarter of this year is the highest growth in the G7, something we promised before the election. Investment of £120 billion into this country, which is a record in the first year of any government, and 3 trade deals, all of which will boost growth.
Mr. Speaker, he's talking about what he achieved. We just heard that inflation is up again, the worst in the G7. Budget last year had high taxes. That's why the economy is contracting. But, Mr. Speaker, the government has said that they won't put up taxes for people on modest incomes. But they also seem incapable of explaining who is in that category. So can the Prime Minister clear up the confusion and tell us what he thinks a modest income is?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think of the working people across this country who put in every day and don't get back what they deserve, and that's who we're working for. That's how we're fixing the country. The sort of people that work hard but haven't necessarily got the savings to buy themselves out of problems. And, Mr. Speaker, that's who we're working for, and that's why we put the national living wage up. That's an extra £1,400 that national minimum wage up. That's £2,500 a year. The triple lock, Mr. Speaker, that went up pension up £470. And of course, we're extending childcare, opening free breakfast clubs and free school meals. We know exactly who we're working for. She comes here every week and just talks the country down.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking the country down, I'm talking him down. I asked him what a modest income was. He answered what a working person is. He doesn't know what a modest income is, and even on working people, they cannot define it. The Chief Secretary to the Treasury said that working people are people who don't get a payslip. But millions of self-employed people don't get a payslip. So are the self-employed next in line for a Labour tax rate?
The self-employed were the very people who suffered under their watch, repeatedly suffered under their watch, particularly if I remember during COVID, when they didn't get the support that they needed. But she talks the country down, she cherry-picks. We have created, Mr. Speaker, since we've been in government, we've created 380,000 jobs, the employment rate is up, and inactivity is down, the complete opposite of what we inherited.
I don't know where these 3,000 jobs are coming from. Unemployment has gone up every month under his government. And perhaps he should speak to farmers and small business people and find out what those working people think about his government. But, Mr. Speaker, that's not all. We know the Chancellor is launching a review into pension contributions. It's as clear as day why this is. It is because the government is considering taxing them. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that a tax on pension contributions is a tax on working people?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we made absolutely clear manifesto commitments, which she asked me about last week and we're keeping to. I'm not going to write the budget months out from the budget. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the decisions that we took to invest in our NHS, to invest in our public services, all the decisions that they opposed, and it's no wonder that after a first year of a Labour government, business confidence is a 9-year high. That's longer than she's been in government. Mr. Speaker, 384, I'm not withdrawing, I'm going to repeat, business confidence is at a 9-year high.
Mr. Speaker, he says he's not going to write the budget, but his Chancellor is on the front of the Daily Mirror talking about what she's going to do on taxes. So why can't he do the same in the chamber? Yes. But I asked him about pension contributions. The truth is he doesn't want to talk about pension contributions. It's all right for the Prime Minister. He has his own special law to stop his personal pension from being taxed. But let's be honest, Mr. Speaker, this is really about choices. My party knows that there is an alternative to tax rises. It's cutting spending, something that they are too scared or perhaps too weak to do. We offered to work with him to reform welfare and make meaningful savings, but his refusal sent a signal, and now the cost of borrowing is rising. The budget is in November, that is months away, and the markets may not wait. What will the Prime Minister be doing over the summer to get a grip on the cost of borrowing?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, they left the most incredible mess in the economy, and now they think that they can lecture others. I think just last week their chairman said that they've done the necessary apologising for the 14 years of failure. They've done the necessary. I didn't hear an apology for the lowest living standards in living history. I didn't hear an apology for the £22 billion black hole. I didn't hear an apology for the Liz Truss mini budget. So maybe she should like to stand up and make that apology now.
Mr. Speaker, he's not doing... Yes. Mr. Speaker, he's not planning on doing anything this summer to fix the economy. The shadow of the last budget is hanging over the entire country. Just yesterday, only the Conservatives supported the two-child benefit cap, because only the Conservatives believe in living within our means. Not Labour, not the Liberal Democrats, not Reform. But it's the end of term, Mr. Speaker, so why don't we go through his end of term scorecard? The economy is contracting. Inflation, highest in the G7. Unemployment, up every month under this government. Spending, out of control. Borrowing costs, more expensive than Greece. And this is just the first year, Mr. Speaker. The Labour Party should be ashamed of what it is doing to the country. Mr. Speaker, they can shake their heads as much as they like. The fact is, this summer, they're going to have to go to their constituents and explain why they've been making such a mess over the last 12 months. And isn't the case, Mr. Speaker, that the worst, given that this is just their first year, the worst is yet to come?
We're happily going to go to our constituents. We're going to tell them we promised 2 million extra NHS appointments and we delivered 4 million extra appointments. Mr. Speaker, I've got to upgrade that. It's now 4.5 million extra appointments. So we're going to tell our constituents that. Then we're going to tell them about the free school meals we're rolling about, breakfast clubs, the free childcare and school uniform costs. We'll tell them about that. And then when we've done that, we'll move on to affordable houses and tell them about the £39 billion we're investing. When we finish that, we'll tell them about the rail and road upgrades across the country, the £120 billion investment, and of course the 3 trade deals. And Mr. Speaker, we're only just getting started.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will never know exactly how much it meant to victims of the Troubles in Northern Ireland from right across society when he came, looked them in their eyes and promised them that no murderer would be immune from prosecution. Can he tell us when the last time he spoke to the Taoiseach about the shared approach to this issue was, and can he recommit today to those victims to ensure that no murderer will be seen as above the law?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this is a really important issue. Can I begin by saying I have a profound respect and debt to our veterans who served. This is a complicated issue, and we've got to get this right. Veterans are at risk because of the false promises of the last government. Let's be clear. They made a false promise of immunity that does not exist. It was unlawful, it was struck down, and it was undeliverable. Their failed Legacy Act leaves veterans exposed with no settled process. We will create a secure, transparent system that protects veterans from unjustified persecution and gives victims, families, and survivors the confidence that they need in the process.
Sir Ed David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's words about the shocking Afghan data breach under the previous government kept secret for 3 years? And he will have our support if he decides to pursue a public inquiry. Mr. Speaker, I know the Prime Minister will agree that the shocking rise of anti-Semitism we have seen since Hamas's October the 7th terror attacks has no place in our society. British Jews should not have to live in fear of hatred, racism and abuse on our streets or online. A new report from the Board of Deputies Commission on Anti-Semitism, chaired by Lord Mann and Dame Penny Mordaunt, has set out 10 recommendations to tackle this appalling scourge. Will the Prime Minister study this report, and will his government respond to it in full?
Prime Minister.
Yes, we will. And we must fight anti-Semitism wherever we find it, as we must fight all hate offences, crimes and incidents wherever we find them.
Sir Ed David.
Can I thank the Prime Minister for that reply? I hope we will see more action to tackle anti-Semitism. Returning to the Middle East now, Mr. Speaker, the world is looking on in horror at the scenes from Gaza. And now Netanyahu's ministers want to lock the whole population of Gaza into effectively a giant...
Well, that was Prime Minister's questions, and News Central international correspondent Afia Hagan joins us to speak more on today's Prime Minister's questions. Thank you so much for joining us, Afia. Now let's begin with what was said on a data breach affecting Afghans.
This is something that actually happened under the previous Conservative government, as Sir Keir Starmer referenced at the top of Prime Minister's questions. And what happened was the details of thousands of Afghans that aided the British Army during the war in Afghanistan. Basically, their data was leaked, and lots of them had to come to the UK. This is Afghanistani people who served alongside the British forces, essentially. And the fall of the Taliban in 2022 meant a lot of those people were in danger. And there was a data breach, which meant that thousands of people's details were leaked. Now, there was a super injunction and a secret resettlement of lots of those Afghanistani people, and that was revealed yesterday. So Sir Keir Starmer said that showed his support in the Commons for the UK fulfilling its obligations towards those Afghanistani people. And you also had the leader of the Liberal Democrats there, Ed Davey, who said he would support the government if it decided to go for a public inquiry into how that data was breached.
All right, now, Afia, Kemi did talk about, a surprise inflation jump affecting businesses and households as well. She also did talk about unemployment going up every month since, Keir Starmer's government. She talked about pension contributions and also high borrowing costs. Can you speak on these?
Yeah, so the leader of the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, to give her full title, you're absolutely right. Her first question was on the Office for Budget Responsibility, who yesterday warned that the government, that higher and higher levels of taxes were bad for growth. That's what the OBR said yesterday. And yes, she did talk about tax rises as well as inflation, which is at a high today. She said that inflation under the Conservative Party when they left government was 2%. And inflation is higher today. That shock rise in inflation that we had. She also talked about pensions and the review that the government is launching into pensions contributions. She asked Keir Starmer whether he would agree that a tax on pension contributions is a tax on working people. Keir Starmer replied by saying that his party made commitments in their manifesto and that he won't write the budget months out from it being published. Our next budget, when we look at the finances of the country and decide what taxes are going up or down, is in November. Kemi Badenoch said that therefore over the summer, what are the government going to do? What are they going to say when they're on the doorsteps to try and get the house in order before that budget? Keir Starmer replied about the Conservative incredible mess that he left, the £22 billion black hole that we always hear about that the Conservatives left in the economy, and Liz Truss's infamous mini budget that crashed the market.
All right, well, thank you so much, Afia, for the update on that. And with that, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the news continues. Stay with us. Now let's turn our attention to Daura, the country home of former President Muhammadu Buhari, where he was laid to rest. Now, President Bola Tinubu and other top dignitaries were on hand in Katsina State to pay their last respect to the 82-year-old retired general. News Central's Victor Mbadike has more.
Musa Yar'Adua International Airport in Katsina, where the remains of former President Muhammadu Buhari arrived. To a military guard in his honor. It is the end of an era. His funeral, which drew thousands across the country, was attended by African leaders, Nigerian top politicians, technocrats, business leaders, and well-wishers. President Tinubu has ordered all national flags to fly at half-mast for 7 days.
Buhari's death has dampened the spirits of virtually everyone here. He's an inspirational figure, not only at home here in Daura, but in the nation and the entire continent. He led by example. He was a rare kind of leader, and certainly incorruptible, and the closest friend that the masses of our people would possibly ever have.
The late president was buried in his family compound with full state honors, an area many say was his favorite sitting spot. His death could mark a turning point in the political trajectory of the country.
The exit of Buhari will definitely lead to a tsunami. There will be a political tsunami in the political landscape of this country in days to come.
Even in death, his legacies will continue to generate conversations across Nigeria's political landscape. Muhammadu Buhari was Nigeria's head of state between December 31, 1983 and August 27, 1985. He became the democratically elected president between May 29, 2015 and May 28, 2023, until he handed over power to the current president, Bola Tinubu. In Lagos for News Central, Victor Mbadike.
In the meantime, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and former Governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, visited the gravesite of the late President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday morning. The dignitaries arrived at the burial site in Daura, where they paid their respects in a brief, solemn visit. Security personnel and local officials were also present. Their visit follows a steady flow of tributes from national figures and citizens after Buhari's burial on Tuesday. Buhari's daughter, Fatima, spoke to journalists about her father's legacy, reflecting on his years of service and leadership. Islamic rites and memorial activities are expected to continue throughout the week in line with tradition and national mourning.
It's tragic. There's no death that isn't tragic or painful. But we thank Allah that Baba had lived a very simple life. I mean, this is the life that we would relate with some messengers of Allah. You know, Baba does not, he's not he's not an ambitious person. He's a very simple person. As you can see, there's nothing extraordinary about his house or, you know, his life. Is a very simple person. So we thank Allah for his simplicity and his humbleness and his uprightness, his discipline and all the good characters. Alhamdulillah. I saw him about 8 days ago, yes. About 8 days ago I came back and then went back Sunday evening after his decease, and we came back yesterday.
News Central correspondent Jamil Mabey joins me to give an update. Jamil, we understand that some dignitaries are still in Daura to pay their respects. What more can you tell us about what's happening there?
Okay, I'm currently inside the venue for the Fidels. We call it Fidels. That is the third-day prayer, which is a ritual after, you know, the death of Muslims. At the third day, they usually converge for prayers. But earlier this morning, Atiku Abubakar, former governor of Kaduna State, former governor of Anambra, Peter Obi, and you know, the NDLEA boss Buba Marwa, you know, were the first to arrive, and they went straight to the grave and offered their prayers to the former late president, and from there they proceeded to the prayer venue. If you can see, the vice president just entered the venue. He's seated. The governor is here. The emir of Maradi is here. The emir of Dora also is here. I can see former governor Teddy Bagudu is also here. You can see all the dignitaries and the places filled up with people. And any moment from now, the prayers will start. And at the end of the prayer, virtually all the visitors that came from other places will now return back to their home, and probably the family, the immediate family members, might likely stay behind to continue receiving condolences visits, or probably go back to Abuja or any other place they find it deemed and fit to continue with receiving guests and visitors over the weekends, maybe for the next 1 or 2 weeks. So this is just the update. The prayer session will start any moment from now.
All right, well, thank you so much, Jamil, for that update. Now, in the wake of former President Muhammadu Buhari's burial in Daura in his state, tributes and reflections continue to pour in, including some pointed remarks from a former federal lawmaker. Former House of Representatives member Dechung Bagos has weighed in on the legacy of the late President Muhammadu Buhari, criticizing what he called a failure to keep key appointees in check during his time in office. Bogos said some officials within Buhari's administration betrayed the trust placed in them, a failure he believes contributed significantly to deepening corruption during that period. Bogos acknowledged the former president's reputation for personal discipline, but said the widespread insecurity and governance issues under his leadership clouded many of his achievements. As reactions to Buhari's legacy remain divided, Bogos pointed to the landmark Not Too Young to Run bill signed into law in 2018 as one of the standout moments of his administration, especially among Nigerian youths. Away from that, President of the Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, says plans are underway to crash the price of liquefied petroleum gas, widely known as cooking gas, in a bid to make it more affordable for everyday Nigerians. And during a recent tour of the Dangote refinery with local and international guests, Dangote expressed concern over the high cost of cooking gas, noting that many citizens are being forced to rely on firewood due to soaring prices. He revealed that the refinery is now producing up to 22,000 tons of LPG daily and is scaling up efforts to supply directly to Nigerian markets. Dangote also warned that if current distributors refuse to allow for a reduction in prices, his company may begin direct sales to consumers. However, operators in the gas sector are pushing back, accusing Dangote of attempting to monopolize the LPG market. Several dealers raised concerns on Monday, saying the move could stifle competition and hurt smaller players in the industry. Now, Dr. Ifeanyi Eze, National PRO of Pengassan, joins me to discuss Aliko Dangote's recent announcement on reducing the price of cooking gas. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Eze, what is Pengassan's official position on Alhaji Aliko Dangote's plan to reduce the price of LPG and possibly begin direct-to-consumer sales?
Let me just make a small correction. I'm the National Industrial Relations Officer of Pengassan. That is National IRO,
okay.
Not PRO.
Okay, noted. Apologies for the confusion. Thank you. Please go ahead.
No, it's not. Yeah. As a union, we don't really have much to do or say about a private company and the way he runs his organization. But we are glad that at the end of the day, that Dangote is going to make LPG affordable to the masses and equally accessible.
All right, do you share concerns, raised by some operators in LPG sector that, this move could lead to monopoly?
I don't really understand the angle they are coming from. In Nigeria today, Dangote is not the only person producing LPG. It's not the only person producing gas. We have an LNG, which is the highest producer, about 450 metric tons a year. We have an NPCL, we have Chevron, Seplat, Mobil, Total Energies. Some of these people supply to gas plants, industries, and to the bulk marketers and gas marketers themselves. So I'm trying to understand how he's actually trying to monopolize the supply of gas in Nigeria. Maybe they are not ready to reduce the cost as Dangote has requested, because come to think of it, if this industry is deregulated and people, we're now looking at the forces of demand and supply, I don't see any reason why somebody should actually monopolize it. That's my thinking, and I think that's the thinking of every unionist.
All right, but since you're speaking for the union, do you think that this would in any way affect jobs and industrial relations within the existing LPG distribution network?
Yeah, if they don't agree, of course, we are going to encourage Dangote to actually collaborate with them. That's the best option for us now. But I'm sure that if they don't agree, of course, it's going to rock the existing chain, and it may actually result to job loss, although on the other side too, there could be employment, but we wouldn't want that. So we will be advocating that they should collaborate with each other. They have existing chain of supply already. But again too, Nigeria, the supply of gas, I don't think we've actually done more than 30–40%, I'm not too sure. So there are still markets for people to go ahead and supply gases to people.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Eze, for your time and for speaking on this. Dr. Eze is National IRO, Pengassan. Away from that, Edo State Independent Electoral Commission has officially scheduled the state's local government elections for Saturday, July 11th, 2026. Commission Chairman Jonathan Afiubokan made the announcement today during a press briefing at the EDSEC headquarters on Airport Road in Benin City. Now, the commission emphasized its commitment to conducting free, fair and credible polls aimed at strengthening local governance and delivering democratic dividends at the community level. Voter education and candidate nomination processes are already underway, with EDSEC assuring transparent, inclusive elections in all 18 local government areas and 192 wards. And now let's move to security matters, where 27 people, including babies, women and the elderly, have been confirmed dead in an early Tuesday morning attack in Bini, Jebu village in Riom local government area of Plateau State. Our state officials of the affected council area confirmed the tragic incident. News Central correspondent Chizoba Nyongwe, who was also there for first-hand details, reports that many houses were burnt with inhabitants that couldn't run for their lives. I'm joined by Dr. Edine Osoro, a security expert and managing director of Executive Guards, to speak on the tragic attack in Bini Jebu village of Riom local government area in Plateau State. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, sir.
Thank you.
All right, speak to us on what the latest attack in Riom local government area suggests about the current security situation in Plateau State.
Sadly, again, we have to mourn those that were gruesomely killed. And for some of us, we know it's like a round occurrence, because if you look at it, these things will come in, killing in this village, killing in the other village, killing in the other local government. Two states, a lot of noise will be made. The government people will come from Abuja. Condolence visits will be paid. NEMA will bring relief materials. And then the situation will appear to be calm. And then you will hear that it's happening in Benue or another state. Then attention will be taken to that particular state. and then before you know it, it will return to the other state. That's what has been occurring. So if you ask me, are you really surprised? I will say, I don't think so, because what has been done to bring an end to this reoccurring decimal, for me, I don't think much has been done, except that a lot of talks, are being made by government people.
All right, Doctor.
And it's very sad, Yeah.
Yes, it is quite sad. Dr. Osoro, now, looking at the repeated attacks, in the Middle Belt, and I'm speaking about Jos and Benue State especially, what are the key intelligence operational failures that may have contributed to this incident?
To start with, number one, the political actors. You hear them make very, very sensational statements, like the governors, those in positions of authority. You hear them talk, oh, these people are not from here, they come from outside the country, and all this kind of talk. I think number one is a matter of intelligence failure, because, you can tell me where Tahos is not bordering any other state, so to say. And so are you saying the attackers came, will you say they flew into the place and started attacking, did all the damages, and they left without a trace? Is that possible? The answer is no. And, what one would have taught is to, at each time these occurrences occur, try to track down the perpetrators of this heinous crime. I don't see much of that. Except, like I said, the only thing you hear, condolence visits, big talks, and at the end of the day, there's a kind of calmness of about 2-3 weeks, and then you hear it come over again. No local government is spared, and it's very sad. So I think it's a matter of intelligence failure, and all those who are supposed to be doing something about this, because definitely these people who are attacking would have passed several other villages, would have passed several other, maybe that's if it's in local government stuff, past maybe some local governments, but you don't hear anything. Nobody says they see anything. Just at the middle of the night, these killings will take place, bombing of houses will take place, and at the end of the day, we started a round of condolence visits and women wailing.
Well, Dr. Osoro, now in that case, how then can security forces better protect vulnerable groups? I'm talking about women, children, and the elderly in rural conflict flashpoints like this, since they are the victims.
Yeah, the real point is not, if you want to submit the women, because the thing is, it is those who can't run. So I will look at it at the way where government will show the political will. The political will, that's number one. And that seemed to be lacking. That seemed to be lacking, because if every time you are having this matter repeat itself every week, maybe you have a break of 3 weeks, 1 month. So number one is the political will to say enough is enough. If it means going through all our bushes and forests, and to do that as a matter of fact of getting security for these local areas, that's where it starts from. Because there's no way you can just pick a group, maybe the children, the elderly. Yeah. No. It's the political will to say we will not allow this to happen in any state, not just in the Middle Belt states.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time and for speaking so in-depthly on this, Dr. Osoro.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, away from Nigeria, local sources reported on Tuesday that residents of Shaq al-Nom in Sudan's North Kordofan state buried 200 people following a devastating assault by the Rapid Support Forces. The attack, which occurred Saturday and Sunday, was one of several recent RSF raids in the region. Eyewitnesses described scenes of destruction with homes set ablaze and families killed under heavy shelling. According to rights monitors, close to 300 people were killed over the weekend in nearby villages. The area lies along key RSF fuel smuggling routes, making it a strategic target. Armed resistance from local tribes continues, with thousands fleeing towards safer zones. The RSF reportedly aims to control critical roads before seasonal floods begin, which typically restricts movement during Sudan's rainy season. Global health agencies are raising concerns about as millions of children remain under-vaccinated despite recent progress in immunization coverage across low-income countries. Now, new figures released by the World Health Organization and UNICEF show that childhood immunization rates in 57 low-income nations have improved, reducing the number of under-vaccinated children by about 600,000 in the past year. But the report warns that challenges such as population growth, conflict, fragile health systems, and vaccine misinformation continue to threaten these gains, especially in middle and high-income countries where coverage is slipping below the 90% threshold. UNICEF and Gavi say millions of lives are still at risk unless urgent action is taken to maintain progress, scale up vaccination efforts, and address misinformation. So we'll have Dr. Paul Ngwakum join us after the break. He is UNICEF Regional Health Advisor for Eastern and Southern Africa. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now to speak to us on a rising vaccine preventable death, we already introduced Dr. Paul Ngwakum. He's UNICEF Regional Health Advisor for Eastern and Southern Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the news, sir.
Thanks very much. Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. Now, Dr. Ngwakum, despite recent progress, over 30 million children remain under-vaccinated globally. What specific trends are you seeing in Eastern and Southern Africa?
Well, the data published recently, we note there has been some progress in Africa in general. But this data also highlights that there is still a very long way to go to be able to prevent populations from having vaccine-preventable disease outbreaks. In Eastern and Southern Africa, between 2024 and 2023, we've seen some progress. 15.5 million children got vaccinated in 2024 for the first dose of DPT against 15.4 in 2023. But that said, with population growth, we are also noticing there is stagnation in coverage. This increase in absolute numbers doesn't translate in increase in coverage. But if you take a disease like measles, there has been some improvements also from 56% coverage in 2023 to 60% coverage in 2024. But again, this will not stop us from having measles outbreaks. We need 95%. If you take a vaccine like HPV, we've also improved from 53% in 2023 to 59% in 2024. But again, we are not yet at the threshold to be able to prevent our adolescents from the risk of having cervical cancer. So in a nutshell, there is increase, but not where we can be able to say we can prevent disease outbreaks.
All right, Dr. Ngwakum, now how has conflict, displacement, or even population growth in these regions, or in this particular region, impacted vaccination coverage in the past year?
I think this is a very important question. And over the past years, conflict and rapid population growth has stretched the health systems and impacted vaccination of children. If you take, for example, places like Sudan, Somalia or northern Mozambique, where you have conflict. This means populations don't have access to health services, and even the staff cannot access these populations, and putting them at risk because they cannot be vaccinated. Other things that bring about displacement, you have changing weather patterns, floods, cyclones, displacing populations, at the same time even destroying health facilities, which makes it impossible for vaccination to go on as planned. And rapid population growth also, I think you mentioned that. Population growth means resources have to grow with the same rhythm as population growth. Human resources has to follow. But you know the challenges we are having in terms of having money for the health sector. This doesn't go in the pace of the population growth, and we can't be able to meet the needs of vaccination. Those are the challenges.
All right. Now, Doctor, UNICEF has warned that, even small drops in immunization coverage can lead to large outbreaks. Now, what early warning signs or even outbreak hotspots are you monitoring right now?
Yeah, I think that's a very real warning, actually, because if you don't vaccinate, there's a big risk of these children getting outbreaks or getting diseases or getting sick and dying. And some of the signs or some of the hotspots that we are monitoring are the areas that we are having conflict. If you go to Somalia, for example, although Somalia has showed some progress in their vaccination, we have to continue monitoring very closely to ensure that we detect on time and to be able to respond on time to avert a catastrophic situation with an outbreak of measles or even polio. We have urban slums, informal settlements in many countries in Eastern and Southern Africa, and these are the places where we can easily get outbreaks because of the conditions, the hygienic conditions of the population. So we monitor these populations or these environments to ensure that we can be able to detect on time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Nwakum, for your time and for your expert's opinion on this.
Thank you very much.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. We told you that mixed reactions continue to trail Buhari's legacy as ex-president laid to rest in Daura. We also told you that LPG operators resist Dangote's price-slash-strategy, warn of market domination. Finally, we told you that 200 people have been buried following an attack by the Rapid Support Forces in a village in North Kordofan, Sudan. Remember, you may send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.